there's going to be attack by what will be described as Yemeni nationals in the United States. Make no mistake, but these are, and I'm just going to go ahead and put the agency out here. These are CIA operatives. These are CIA proxies who are rogue at this point because their entire infrastructure has been dissolved by the Trump administration. Okay, when you launch an ICBM from Yemen, there is absolutely not a reality in the world where they have the capability of doing that. Okay, so for this thing firing into Riyadh being shut down, they are incredibly desperate. And I'm just going to say it right now. During this week, there is an attempt by Yemeni nationals in the United States to pull off a false flag.
Zach in Florida, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, Alex, it's great to be back on, and I just have to really update some key information to connect some dots regarding.
Yeah, because you were gonna come on as a guest, but then you got in some trouble.
Yeah,
and I didn't even notice that was the regular Zach from Florida. I'm sorry I made you hold an hour, but I'm just all over the map today. Because you talked about the Saudi Arabia shakeup that was about to happen, how they were involved with the Vegas attack. Just to recap for folks, you've been a great source of info. So go ahead.
Yeah, and I got back and forth to Nico. Just haven't heard anything back, but I'm sure you guys are busy there building your operation. So let's get into the Saudi Arabia thing, which is very important. This shakeup that comes right after the Vegas intel that dropped, which is important, and this is deep and this is major. So let's get right into it. Yemen. This is the next play. It's going to be Yemen. What we have in February, if people have such a short memory, but I've compiled the timeline here, so I don't miss this stuff. In February, we have to remember the Navy SEAL raid in Yemen that Trump ordered that killed a couple Navy SEALs. Came back and Trump quotes, "We have gathered very vital intel." Immediately following that, you have John McCain completely discrediting Trump, coming out and saying that this raid in Yemen was not appropriate. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's out of control. And why do you think that was? The information that was gathered in Yemen uncovered them all physically. So they physically gathered that intel. Okay?
Sure, that was who was controlling the ISIS Al-Qaeda operatives out of Saudi Arabia. And
it's no coincidence that a few months after that, you have John McCain, miraculously having, a brain cancer surgery out of nowhere, because make no mistake, he will be questioned in the future. And they're going through some other motions right now, but this is very convenient when it's going to come to him being questioned and his lack of memory. Therefore,
sure, because he went and funded the radical jihadis himself. He quarterbacked the whole deal. He's been up to it, in his eyeballs. And now you're right. They go get the intel out of Yemen. Now this is happening in Saudi Arabia. They're rolling up the whole globalist network with the Bushes, you name it. Now, he's been calling a couple of years, but he's been calling almost every week the last 6 months or so. And Zach just has great sources. I don't know his whole background there from former Special Forces Command in Florida. I think that's where he mentioned some of his info was from before. I just know from all my big sources, and I got a lot of sources right up to the president, I'll just leave it at that, who we still occasionally get info directly from. I mean, that's not a secret. In fact, General Kelly's blockade of info is suddenly lifted. It's crazy. And he's gotten on board it now is the information we've gotten. He was going to join us last week for an hour, and then I guess he got called in and got in some trouble. Even though he's never given us anything classified, he just pointed out what's happening. And he said last week, big shakeup in Saudi Arabia, criminal networks there working with ISIS and Al-Qaeda, connected into what happened in Vegas. And I was given that information from sources in Vegas, but also in the federal government. But they said, please don't talk about that yet. But then he called in and talked about it. So he's got some sources. I don't know what he wants to say about himself. He's going to join us by Skype tomorrow. And I sure hope it ends up happening. But just recap Vegas, what you predicted last week, the civil war inside Wahhabist Islam, and what the next big shoot-a-drop is. I mean, they're killing a bunch of these princes. There's a civil war over there. They're blowing up their helicopters. And we knew this tied back to trying to find out who's actually behind ISIS. We now know it's the Clintons, it's Obama, it's Hillary, it's the Arab Spring, it's the Muslim Brotherhood. And now this is the proof from Yemen in that raid that got the globalists so upset when it happened. So walk us through it.
Okay, so we have the call on October 31st, me and yourself, and they're talking about the Saudi connections in Vegas. Obviously, during that weekend, you have the incredible shakeup in Saudi Arabia, and it's not coincidental because that was pretty important stuff, and that's kind of stuff you don't bring up. But because here's the thing with those PMCs, when you have this prince who was arrested, he's at the big center of this, because Prince Al Walid, the billionaire who was
he's the one always running down Trump, quarterbacking a bunch of the leftist stuff here.
He's publicly funded several PMCs, and this is what they do with the private military companies. They run as a certain name in a certain organization. Then, like Blackwater and some of the other ones, they continue to change names.
And they've been ballsy enough to be in big firefights in Saudi Arabia the last 4 days. That's not really in our news, but some of it's leaked. I mean, there's actual civil war going on.
So this happens. We leaked the information on the 31st, and obviously, we see what happens there on the weekend leading into the new week. So this happens, but what we have to realize is, and this is the prediction, and this is the next big news, which will occur this week, unless we stop it here. There's going to be an attack by what will be described as Yemeni nationals in the United States. Make no mistake, but these are. And I'm just going to go ahead and put the agency out here. These are CIA operatives. These are CIA proxies who are rogue at this point, because their entire infrastructure has been dissolved by the Trump administration. Okay, when you launch an ICBM from Yemen, there is absolutely not a reality in the world where they have the capability of doing that. Okay, so for this thing firing into Riyadh being shut down, they are incredibly desperate. And I'm just going to say it right now. During this week, there is an attempt by Yemeni nationals in the United States to pull off a false flag. And because they're desperate, but here's the thing, the money source is captured at a evacuated Ritz-Carlton in Saudi Arabia. Those individuals, they flushed the Ritz-Carlton in Saudi Arabia, and they're being held there.
So just as you said weeks before this came out, they pushed their bluff with Trump of a destabilization campaign, and he just basically called their bluff and rolled them up.
You have, and John McCain is just so done. John McCain plays a big part in this, okay? He plays a major part in this. He's timestamped on February 2nd, making his comments about the Navy SEALs, making the raid in Yemen and how displeased he was by it.
Well, he's photographed with the leaders of ISIS before they created the group. I mean, he's red-handed.
Who are in Yemen as we speak and are freaking out because the spout of money has dried up. They got Al Walid in Riyadh right now, flushed out.
And let's boil it down, because this is all confirmed. Just like Trump said, Hillary and Obama founded ISIS. Trump is rolling up the double networks that even Saudi Arabia didn't like, because they were used to menace and control Saudi Arabia. He's going to clean, open, real, pragmatic politics. He's told the king this. The king, once he was shown the evidence of the data files, got on board. Now they're getting in line, and Iran better get in line, because this is all unfolding. But you're right. They've got stay-behind terror networks in the deep state that's refused to go and is going to now launch attacks and try to blame the Second Amendment. You can just see it unfolding. So continue.
So basically, callers and some individuals are speculating there will be a war with Iran. No, this is the war with Iran. There is no legitimate war with Iran. There is no kinetic war with Iran without their deep state backing. And that is gone, thanks to Donald Trump. He has shifted his real military. Focus, I guess you could call it, into the South Pacific, in Korea, as we talked about, me and yourself 6 months ago, bringing up strategic patience. In Trump's speech in Korea, where he takes his business coat off and puts on the bomber jacket, is the most symbolic thing ever. Then reads specifically from a sheet of paper. He's a great speaker and orator. But he speaks and specifically mentions the term strategic patience, which has not been uttered diplomatically like he has said in the last 25 years. And that's for good reason, because these are deep state intelligence-backed proxies. There is no kinetic war with Iran. We're in it right now. We've leaked them. We've double-crossed them. Trump is playing, I don't even know if you call it 5G chess. He's so far ahead. It's so brilliant. And this line that he's an idiot, they are highly mistaken.
Well, I know what Trump did. He went the day after he got elected, once he was sworn in, he went to the CIA. He gave them all big plaques, American flag plaques on wood. I'm only saying that people know that I actually talked to folks that were obviously in on the meeting. And it wasn't a classified meeting. And the point is, but it never leaked. And he said, whoever's for America and wants to be straight shooters, I'm going to back you 100%. Whoever isn't, get ready. I'm coming after you. And he said, we're not playing games and double-crossing people anymore. He said, this whole global system of double-crossing and funding terror is over. Then he got with the people that understood the full operation and green-lighted them rolling up these networks of the Muslim Brotherhood that we know is been funded by multi-actors in the Middle East, not just Iran. And so what we're seeing is a major stabilization operation by the president. But I agree with you. They're going to try to launch some attacks. But what did they think was going to happen when they pulled off the Vegas operation. I mean, did they think Trump was just going to crap his pants and say, okay, we'll please don't stage a bunch of terror attacks. I'll back off now.
I don't know what they really thought about Trump, and I don't think people have underestimated him, obviously. But that was symbolic, and that was blackmailing to other people within the actual infrastructure of our government. There's certain words, key words, and certain signifiers within the attack, even within the attack in Texas, which you could get into, that are essentially symbols to people within that infrastructure. Essentially, a hand being played in a game of poker. So,
and they're also having the drills right now of the U.S. power being knocked out, which is really the cover, and the enemy knows this, to put teams in place guarding strategic power stations. This country's on a full war footing right now with the globalists and their Islamic proxy armies. But we know they've also got other proxy groups. Any information on who else we should be watching out for?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no difference. Antifa is a creation of the deep state. If you would look into the creation and the actual, standing up of what we call Al-Qaeda or today ISIS, there's no difference in Antifa. So you have at the actual helm, the funding helm of these groups, you have deep state individuals who are carrying this out. And I'm just going to tell you right now, with this Texas shooting, I'm not going to speculate too much, but I shouldn't get into that. Actually, let me just stop right there. But you're going to see more attacks like the Texas shooting that may be double barbed. And what double barbed means is they have a specific point and they have specific blackmail characteristic to people within the government. But they also, the double barb, the second barb of it, is to carry out political agendas like gun control and
sure. And it shows their sick mind. They think they attack a country music deal, they attack a church, they attack Texas, just like Hitler bombed London. That only made the Brits get behind the war. I don't know why they think all this intimidation is going to make us give our guns up or make us bow. They're really stupid.
This week you will see an attempt, and hopefully it's foiled, I hope, but they're brazen and they're obviously been doing things. There will be an attempted attack on the United States of America, a massive attack by an individual group of individuals that have Yemen nationality.
And that's why they keep saying Trump will be gone by December. They're planning to get things so bad, we go, it's Trump's fault, get rid of him. I don't understand how they think this is going to work.
Yeah, and Trump is doubling down. He hasn't been intimidated. If anything, it's fired him up. The symbolism of him taking off the business jacket, putting on the bomber jacket, and uttering the word strategic patience in the South Pacific is a real message to China, and that's why he's going to meet with Putin.
Well, listen,
later.
Paul Watson's coming up, and I've got a few clips I got to play before that happens of stuff I promised to air, but you should come on, because I know you got good information today, if you can, with Owen sometime and tomorrow. We should just get this happening now. So thank you so much, Zach. Let me put you on hold. I want to get you on with Owen, if you can do it, or David Knight tomorrow, as much as possible. I want you to flesh this out for folks, because you're dead on. We've got to be bracing for the new attacks.